This call is now being recorded.
All right. We can now begin. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for yet another amazing session here at Spacia Tech. The title for today is Build Products, Not Just Apps. And it will be by the one and only Yves Kalume. And I will just give a short bio about Yves Kalume before he takes the stage or the mic. So, Yves Kalume is actually a software engineer with 6 years of experience in creating smooth and meaningful Android experiences. He is driven by curiosity and a passion for impact. He is also recognized as an Android Google developer expert, sharing knowledge through blogs, talks, and community events. Currently, Yves Kalume works as an Android developer at Monaco, um, where he builds financial applications that empowers Africans living in Europe with easy banking and settlement services. Ladies and gentlemen, with a hand clap, clapping emojis, let us welcome Yves Kalume. Kalume, Karibu, welcome. Just remembered you're not Kenyan. Welcome, but
Asante.
Karibu is welcome.
Thank you. Asante. Okay, let me just share my screen again. Okay, great. So, hi everyone. Thanks for being here. So today we are going to talk about an interesting topic, which has already been introduced by our host. So we are going to talk about how to build products that people love, not just building, applications. And I think the presentation has already been done, so I'll just keep it. And today, our goal is to first understand the difference between, a simple application and a product. So what we mean by a product, and how to recognize, the importance of thinking beyond just writing code, because I know that we are software engineers and we are people who love writing code and doing complex stuff, but most of the time we get lost into these things instead of just building something people will love. So let's say that you have just finished building an app, it's sleek, it's fast, and the code is clean, so you're proud of it. But after a few months, it's struggling, to gain traction. User download it, they try it out, and then they quietly disappear. And then you start asking yourself, what went wrong? This is, one of the common reason product failed. So let's see an example. Let's say we are building a habit tracker app. The first version, as most of us, when we start learning programming, we learn how to build console applications, and then we say, okay, I know how to use, PHP, I know how to use Kotlin, so let me just build this to do application as a console app. But on the other hand, someone built it like this. He built an Android application. So I would like to know why what is the best version of our habit tracker application and why. So if someone can open just his mic and tell us what is the correct version of this application. No one? Don't be shy, guys.
Guys, somebody should raise their hand. Or maybe you should repeat the question, Kalume. Maybe they didn't hear it. Let's give them the benefit
Okay,
of doubt. Mhm.
okay. So let's say we're building an habit tracker app, and we have the first version, which is just a console application, which is quite simple and someone can just open and save it. That is habit, and you can come after that, you can read, and there is a ton of features, but it's just a console application. And on the other hand, we have a mobile application with a UI and all the features, but this time it has a user interface. So which one is the best version of the app?
Okay, so someone can just raise their hand and, give an answer.
Maybe they are shy.
Okay, we can always choose someone. Let's see. First person, Amara Dave. Oh, actually, we have three people who want to answer the question. So we have Stephen, we have Frank, and we have Dennis. So, Stephen, you can start. Then we go to Frank, and then Dennis. Yeah.
Hello. I think
Oh,
the second one, the one with the UI,
okay. Why?
because you are building for the user, not the code, the programmers.
Okay. So who says we are not building for programmers? Maybe. Okay, okay. You can take the second one.
The second one was Frank.
Hey, I think it's the second one because, in my opinion, a habit tracker doesn't just need to be simple. It needs progress tracking, reminders and notification, maybe goal settings and some motivation. Actually, the interface is the motivation to open up every day.
Okay, great.
We
The
also have
third
Dennis.
one.
Yeah, so I would also say I would go with, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, so I'd say I'd go with the UI because from usability standpoint, you're looking to give users something that they can use without so much complexity. Yeah, thus reducing time it takes to understand your company's get to for them to use it.
Okay,
So having okay, all right, okay. Back to you, Kalume.
great. So I think you're right, but we also see how to, to say the reasons, how to find the good reasons. Because even if you are right, you are not supposed to think uh, for the user. So let think what is the difference between a simple application and a fully fledged product. First, an app, it is just a piece of software, like it is the code, the feature you have designed. I can say it is the technical side of the equation. And a product is more than that, it is an experience how the solution you have built fits seamlessly into the lives of your users. And it has a story, it has a brand. So today, if I'm talking about uh, X, everyone knows what X is. We know the brand, we can recognize it by just its icons. So we know it has an identity, and it's something that people can connect with, they can love, because if you build a good product, people will definitely love it. They will not just come and use it and go. And why this mindset shift is matters, because it makes you think about the problem you are solving. You will not just build an application from the engineer's perspective, you will also think about the user, the problem you are solving. And yeah, you think about the people you're building for and the long-term impact of your solution. So how to build a good product? The first step is to understand the problem you are solving. I know that most of the time I kind of repeat this sentence because it's really important, but it is a step that often rushed and or even skipped entirely. Some people just start building the application like this. They don't even understand why they are building it. But it is the number one reason why so many apps fail to become, real products. And as developers, we really love challenges. We get excited about new frameworks, algorithms, and perfectly optimized code. But the truth is that no one downloads an app because it has a clean architecture or it use innovative algorithm and so on. They download it because it solves their problems and it has an impact on their lives. So you need to know your users and you need to understand their pain points. So what are their problems and how you want to solve it. So how can you how can we understand the problem we are trying to solve? Actually, it's a very huge topic, and I feel like it may need some other sessions, but thankfully we have this program built for mentorship, so it will help you. I can suggest you to join Space Tech. This is a Swahili word, right? It's pronounced Space Tech.
Yes, it's Tech.
Yeah,
Actually, the only
Minecraft
Swahili
program.
word
Yeah,
there is yeah.
yeah. Is it?
Yeah, so Space Tech, you are right. You're correct.
Okay, so I suggest you to join. We have actually an upcoming mentoring session. So set of a lot of mentoring sessions which are coming up. So I will kindly advise you to join, and there are ton of interesting speakers and mentors that will help you to understand this stuff because actually I'm also an engineer like you. So maybe we all need to learn from them. So yeah, I hope they will send the links so that you can join.
Yeah,
Okay,
do that. Thank you.
great. So and after understanding the problem you're solving, the second step is to validate your idea. So we should not just rush and start building something that maybe you are wrong. Maybe you are building something that is not useful and does not solve the problem you want to solve. So the first way to know to validate your idea is by talking to people, to your potential users. You need to get their inputs so that you make sure that you are building something which will be useful. And the second step is you can try to build a prototype and send it to the user so that they can use it. Don't just build the the end product and ship it. You may invest your time and your money building something that is wrong. And please don't think for the user because most of the time you feel like, oh, I want to build this to-do list application, and because you feel that you need this feature, but you're not the user you're building for. You're building for other people's. So maybe you want to build something that you will use, but yeah, don't expect it to be used by many people's because it solves only your problems. If you want to build for other people's, for users, you need to get their input, and you should avoid thinking for them. So you need to learn to get their inputs to understand their problems. And the fun fact is that if you know an app called Slack didn't start as a messaging app. It was, built as an internal tool for game for a game company, and then they realized that their game wasn't working out. So the chat tool was, the chat tool they had built to communicate internally had a real potential, as a product. So they shift focus, and now the rest is history. So they just understand what is important. They don't just think for the user. They build something and they get feedback and then shift if necessary. And you also need to design with purpose, because design isn't just about making things that look pretty, because you may build, a cool and looking good UI, but design is about creating that an experience that is intuitive, that feels natural, and people can enjoy using. And it's also about removing friction from the users to their goals. Because if they are using your application, they need to solve, they need to do something, they need to solve a problem. So you need to make sure that there is not frictions when they want to achieve their goals. So don't just put a lot of button and hoping that they will find out what they are looking for. You must make it intuitive, and you must, for that you must understand human behavior, and how you can create a seamless experience. So you may need to learn about of UX design, not only UI but also user experience. And another step is to the market fit. What I mean by market fit. So let's say you have built a product that solves a real problem, with a clear purpose and a good design. But even the best design product can struggle if they don't find a market fit, because your product not only solve a problem, it must also resonate with the group of people you are targeting. So without a market fit, even the coolest product will fail. It's like you are trying to sell a luxury watch to a group of minimalists, travelers, or people who are, who don't care about that. It will fail, and they are not the good target for your product. So you need to try to get feedback and to see if what you are building will be useful for people who you are building for. That's why most of the time companies used to build MVPs, which are most viable products. These are, the product or the project with just core features or small features, without spending a lot of time, a lot of money, just to try to push it in the market and try to get feedback to see if, yeah, it has a market fit. And I'll try to list some facts. I don't know if they are facts only for me or if they are facts for everyone here, but I feel as software engineers, we need to know some stuff in order to work on a good product. So you the first thing is that every product have key features regardless of its purpose. You need to authenticate users, you need data storage. So these skills are important for you as a software engineer, whatever the company you're trying to join, you want to join, whatever the market or the industry you're working on. So you need some knowledge that you will share, you will use across these domains. And as a software engineer, your work is not just about making things work. How you write your code is very important, because if you do it the wrong way, you that's why most companies in the interview process, they try to see how you write your code, how you think. So it really matters, not just because product staff are, we have product manager, we have UX designer, because you may think that the most important part is the UI, is how people feel, but also how you write your code is important because a product must evolve with its users. So if you write code that can evolve, that means you are making a product that cannot evolve or will require a lot of money, a lot of time to fit the users needs that evolve every time, and that change every time. And most products are built by teams. You must know that you are not required to have all this knowledge or these skills, but yeah, the most you have, I think, is good because if you are an Android developer, you can build a cool or a good UI, a good user experience. Actually, if I have another software engineer, another Android developer who can build this UI, I'll prefer to work with him instead of you because I know that it will help me in the product building process. It will give me some feedbacks and we will try to optimize time. And every product must be deployed because if you're building something that will be used only on your computer or only on your phone, that's not a product. A product must be shipped to users. So for example, Android applications, you must deploy them to Play Store, you must deploy iOS application to Apple Store or web application on web. So also I want to emphasize that you must join the Mastercraft because all these topics will be explored. How to write good code because you will not only work on project by yourself as side project, you will get input from people and from people who have work experience and how to write good application, how to write good code that uh, make good product and how to deploy your application. So all these things will be discussed during the mentorship uh, sessions. So you must join Mastercraft. I know that I'm making an ad and advertising, but I know how it's important because uh, as when I started building application, I struggled. I couldn't even call myself a developer because I lack resources. I lack even mentors. I lack, a community in which I can build things. So thankfully, when I got access to some people who were already in the industry, they could provide me some feedback and opportunities. That's why even today I'm here to tell to you. This is because I joined some communities that help me a lot. So you should definitely join. And I'll end by this quote from Scott Belsky, who I don't know if you know him, but you should look for his name on internet. I think you will learn a lot of from him. Idea is it is not just about idea. It is also how you make them happen. So you may have great ideas, but how you make them happen is most important than having them. So I think we have now enough time to discuss. So if you have any question, any input, we can, just chat.
Wow, thank you
And
so much for that, Kalume. I think what I really didn't know was that Slack started as a gaming app. I had no idea. And then they decided to go the corporate way. That's very, very interesting. So guys, if you have any questions, feel free to just raise your hand or leave some, questions in the comments. Okay, Israel, Noah, let's start with you before we go to Ben.
Hi everyone. My name is Israel, and I have around 2 questions. I believe you can hear me.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
So how do you validate a pain point? Well, okay. Now, in this sense, now for a client, okay, you as a dev, you see it as a pain point, but to the client, it's seen as a well as a nice to have. So I'm not trying to see how I can be able to convince the client. I don't know if that's also a push to convince the client that this is actually a nice to have, but also a pain point. It's like I'm trying to um okay, it's like I'm trying to like sell, okay, how can I put it? It's like I'm trying to sell to you a painkiller, but then you see it as a supplement or maybe a vitamin. Well, that's the first question. The second question is, so like, how do you ask the right questions? If let's say now you're trying to approach a client and you want to ask if maybe they have like pain points, and in every pain point, like they have like a go-to solution, which let's say it's less cheaper than what you're sorry, you're providing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. These are great questions. So the first one was about, how to understand the pain point, or how to explain the user that this is a pain point instead of, a feature, right?
Yes, exactly. It's like now to you, you see it as a pain point. Well, in regards to the like the modern day like culture, if for example I would like give an example of, let's say, manual recording of data. Okay, well, to you as a dev, you've seen okay, you're seeing that um okay, why would you be using like, let's say, a book and a pen while you can be using let's say an application that actually just like records your data? But to the client, it's seen as either it's heavy task because now they have to be on their phones in some sort of of recording data, and also they see it as an expensive well, not expensive per se, but costly move in regards to now they've either they've been okay, they're not taught, or they've heard that maybe in the tech space now things like are more expensive or require some bit of cash. And having that now the book is like 10 shillings and the pen is 5 shillings. I mean, that's it.
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. So the first thing is the user is always right. So if you are building something, you're building it for the user. So if he doesn't need that, maybe you don't need to build it. But so first, yeah, you should never think for him. You should never think for the user, because most of the time we don't even know what the user really want, and most of the time they don't even know why they are acting as they act. That is why there are several ways to identify pain points, to identify what the user really want. The first things, this, I think this is like your second question. The first thing is, when you are asking the user questions, there are several techniques to know what is what will be the good solution. So there you can ask first, you can ask open-end questions, to question to which answers are sentences, and then you can start ending to close-end question, so question that can be answered only by yes or no. And there is also what we call A/B testing. Most of the time, this is one of the most used solutions, even across big company. You may just provide to the user different solutions and try to see them how they are acting, how they are using, and based on that, you can find the correct solution for them. But the user is always right. So if you are doing, let's say you are doing A/B testing, and after your A/B test, you see that, yeah, the users is more the user use most this solution than this other one. Maybe even though you prefer the second one, but what the user is actually using, what solve his problem, is the best solution, even though it is not your favorite one. So there are several techniques. Maybe, yeah. So actually, it is a very long discussion, and there is several people that need to get involved in this process. But actually, I'll say that, yeah, actually there is several things to do that to achieve this, and I can't really list all of them here, but yeah, you can try to do some research about A/B testing, about domain-driven development, and all this stuff.
Okay, just to get you right, like the A/B. Okay, the A/B testing. And okay, the A/B testing in which are questions. Okay, so are they like leading questions? Like leading, by leading I mean like the questions that actually lead like the client like to my product, or are they questions that like I need to understand what the like the client's okay, I'm gonna put at this point I'm trying to ask the client what are the pain points, and if let's say now the client is like if for example now the client is asking for miracles. Well, by miracles I mean like for example now a client wants like a way in which like a way in which he can record sales without at this point having to interact with the system directly. So it's like an AI thing he wants, but then like he wants it in a cheap, I don't know, in a cheap cost. I would say cheap, but say cheap cost and fast. So that's the questions. Are they actually leading questions, or are they questions that actually now revolve around what the client is looking for?
Okay. So actually, there are not specific questions, but this is why being a software engineer is much more than writing code. And actually, writing code is the simplest part of being a software engineer. So you need to know about communication, how we can communicate with a client or a user to understand his need. And most of the time, as I said, the users don't even know what they really want. So yeah, there are several ways to discover what they know and how we can guide them to what is good for them. So how we can understand what is good for them. So
All right.
actually, but yeah.
Sorry to cut you short. To Noah, because I don't want the discussion to go for too long. The questions you're actually asking are the things that a product manager does. Those specific questions that you're asking are skills that are there for a PM. So even if you can, join our session on Thursday. Yeah, I really do feel that would also help, but also reach out to Kalume directly and maybe explain to him the exact issue, because when you give it vaguely, it's really hard to give. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. So over to Ben. Ben, you can ask your question.
Thanks, and I hope you guys are all doing great. Thanks, Yves, for the nice session. So I have 2 or 3 questions, quick ones. So the first one is, I think it's just 2. I wanted you to give your opinion on, I think, 2 approaches that have been there in the market on how they ship products to the market. So there are 2 approaches that I've seen most companies do. So the first one is they take time to know the users, to check the problem, and to solve for the particular user segment and the problem. And the second approach is they have an idea that is close to solving several research problems with several approaches, and then they launch an MVP and let users jump into the platform and then test out the different features that they offer on the platform. And then they collect metrics based on what users like most about the product or a segment in the product. And then they skew the product to solve that particular or what users seek the most in the application. And that's how it has been, I think, the success story of most applications like Facebook, TikTok, and the rest. So in your opinion, which one would you recommend? Which one? What would you advise? Because this is a problem that most people face, especially that you think of a random idea, you think it's cool for you, and then you take it to the market, you see it's not solving for everyone. But again, there are people who get into market with random ideas, and then one picks, and then they go with that. Most of the time, those that go in as random ideas normally get to the market and hit and pass, according to my opinion. But I would like you to give us your opinion and probably advise which one would you recommend, especially for people who are just beginning to sell product to the market. Second question. How best would you position a paid app to prospective users from the design perspective, from architecture, user acquisition, support, and post-market success? I'm saying this given that I have tried myself to like do an app, and then I was experimenting on like distributing it as a paid app, and I saw that most Kenyans don't buy apps, so I had to switch it back to free app. And the intention was to like make it a really fully paid up with like 5 shillings for a subscription, but then it turned out that people don't pay for those, so I had to like switch back to in-app adverts and then make it entirely free. What would be your advice for those from design, architecture, user acquisition, support, and post-market success? Thanks.
Okay, thanks, man. Nice to see you, though. It has been a minute. So, you asked really great questions. The first one, about how to make sure that an app really fits the user's needs. Actually, on the paper, I feel like the most used way is just to build a random feature and push it into the market and see if it works. And actually, yeah, most companies, even I've worked on some company in some companies that are doing like this. They just, some of the executive people came with an idea and say, "Oh, actually, it's cool if we add this feature into the app, and then send it to he writes a PRD and send it to the UX designer, and the guy just built the UI and he just come it with it to devs and we build it and ship it." That's also cool. But actually, if you don't have enough, I can say enough money, you can just, you are taking a big risk because you can build something that is not really useful. But yeah, it's quite simple and easier to do like this. And in big companies, they most of the time think they do UX research, they build some prototype, and they do A/B testing just to see which version of the app will be most used. But it really depends on the company culture. I feel this is the most the most, I can say, this is the main difference between the two approach, the company culture. Most of the company, they just try to observe what is being done in the market, and they try to get ideas and actually just build feature and test it in their own applications. That's also good though. So you are not required to every time build uh, do A/B testing or do researches, but actually it's also sometimes it can cause some frustration because as a developer, most of the time I've worked with some managers who used to come with just ideas, and also co-founders and people who can come with an idea and say, "Oh, this is cool. Let's build it and try to see if we can get some traction and we can get more users." And then we ship, and at the end of the day, there is not, the outcomes doesn't worth it, and this is a big problem, and it can cause a bad it can frustrate some people's engineers at first, because I hate building things that are not useful. I prefer to sleep, That's why if you come with a feature, you must be sure that this is what you should be doing. Yeah. And so it really depends. So, and for the second question, that's true. And please, guys, if you are building an application, you are an engineer, just look for people who are good at selling things, because actually I'm kind of introverted, but I can build a cool application. If I don't know how to sell it, I'm not required to learn how to sell or to do it by myself. I can just call a friend, I can just go into a community and look for someone who can help me selling it. And the African market actually is a bit tough because, yeah, most people don't want to buy for a subscription in an app. Maybe the kids or people who are really passionate, about movies, they can pay for Netflix subscription, they can pay for Spotify. But if you build your application, let's say it is a music application, you must be sure that some so we must try to so first ask yourself, why would someone pay for my app instead of Spotify? Why would someone pay for my app instead of someone else application? And so you must be able to sell it. Maybe you don't have the the right skills to do it. And also, yeah, adding ads to an application actually is also one of the most used way of getting incomes from applications by local by people who are building applications here, like in Congo, even in Kenya. So you can try to add some ads inside your application, but most of the time, just go try to look for someone who is good at selling. Maybe he can at business, maybe he can help you on this side. Yeah.
Thanks. That's well noted. Thanks.
Thank you so much for that response. If you know what I've just realized, product managers and developers could really work together to build amazing products. Just
Yeah, but
saying.
most of the time, you guys
Yeah, for sure,
have
for sure.
ideas
Yeah,
that
we have
we
crazy
don't.
ideas, I know.
Yeah.
But okay, so we have the next person. He's called Mukeba, and he has a question. He says, "Hello, my question is about UX. Every user has their own preferences. So, how do you create a product that can meet the needs of every user, or allow everyone to find their way around?" So, kind of like building a WhatsApp, because I feel like every user, everyone is on WhatsApp. So, yeah.
Yeah, great. But you know what? WhatsApp actually, for me, it used to have a really bad design, but I was using it because it was solving my problem. I needed to chat with people because
Ah.
I needed to do it. So I was using WhatsApp, even though I don't like their design. So being useful is the best way to make people love what you do. Of
Wow.
course, they are, they are basic things that you need to add about usability and all those UX stuff. But if you have them, colors, typography, and everything is kind of details, but they are rules. But building something that is useful is the best way to make people love what you're building. Yeah.
Very interesting, because even yesterday when we had our talk on product design, Fred really talked about user experience, and he was like, UI is good, but try to make sure that your user experience is really good. He gave an example of, you see the way old people have, somebody built an app for old people and it was really fancy. Imagine you're building an Instagram, Kalume,
Yeah.
for someone who's 60 years old. So when they got the app, they were like, we don't want this. Like, this is too much.
Yeah.
So they had to go and change everything and make it simple, increase the font size
Yeah.
like to 20 so that they can actually see. So yeah, you're very right.
Good. And I don't know if you have seen it, but so have you seen those point of sales applications, how they look like?
Um,
Actually, I don't like the design, but this is how these point of sales application are built, and there is a reason why they are built like this. with
Yeah.
their bad design.
But Kaluma, to me, it seems design is very important to you.
Yeah, actual design is very important
Mhm.
for real, but being having something that is useful, because most of the time, even you can eat something that you don't like because you are hungry. That that
Yeah, it's true. Okay, does anybody else have a question? Or anyone who has been eating something that they don't like because they are hungry? Anyway, all right, any questions? Any questions? Okay. So I think one of the things that has really stood out for me, Kalume, is what you talked about, a mindset shift that makes you think more about solving the problem. And then also don't think for the user. I think this is a problem that we do have. Like we get excited, we're building an application, we're doing this. It makes us happy, but we don't really think about the person who's going to use it.
Yeah, actually, I learned it the hard way, because I used to work in a company that actually, I think it has been shut down, because we had really great engineers, but everything we used to build was failing, because the app was really good UX,
Mhm.
good features, clean architecture, and everything like this. But it was because we were a group of people who were good at engineering, and we were excited about just building an app with great features, just learning, as engineers. But all the apps, all the products we have built have failed because of the market fit. We built something that was not useful. And actually, if I am just a regular person and looking at what we used to build, I was like, how could we, build something like this for people like us?
Yeah.
Even me, I can't use it because it is useless. But we were just excited, and we built something amazing. We shared it with tech communities. They really liked it because they are also geeks like us. But
Mhm.
our users found it useless.
Oh my God. Okay. Okay. And you say that the company shut down.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. So I'm just wondering, Kalume, for me, like a few years ago, I created an app. What is it? It was supposed to be a note app. It was supposed to be like a mental health app. Then I have another app. It's a calorie app. And then recently I was thinking of coming up with a step up because a lot of people have been walking. So I'm just wondering, as a beginner, right? How do I get that point where you're telling me not to just build an app, to build a product? I feel like it's so senior. It's such a big word. And me, I just want to know how to write Kotlin and how to use coroutines. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's a great question. So first of all, you need to talk with people who are doing what who are working, and ask them, so what they are using right now, what app they're using and why they're using it. Try to understand, try to understand what they're actually doing. And after that, ask them in the app, because I know that most of them actually use some applications, and ask them what they like about these applications and what they don't like. I think this may be the starting point. If you are building in solo, you are not a part of a team or a company, you're just building by yourself, because you don't have the UX designers, you don't have, you can do UX research, building a persona, trying to do research on the market to see what people really need. And after that, you can try to copy just core features of these applications, this big app. most of people think that innovation is about building things that don't exist yet. But innovation is about you can build something that exists, but with using a different way. You can build something that exists differently. This can also be innovations. So just try to see what is already on the market and try to copy the most used features from them and try to push it as an MVP. And after that, try to get feedback from users, what the feature they would like to have inside the application. Just be as near as possible to the target users. So yeah, but starting is quite difficult. That's why as software developers, most of the time we failed with our side project because we don't have these skills. Maybe we need some friends who are good at product design for them so that they can help us to build something that would be useful.
Yeah, I think one thing that I've really come out with from this whole talk, even from the questions that have been asked, is that we all need one another. Like, because if I'm a beginner and I'm trying to, build an application, you've talked about doing UX research, right? You've talked about all these things, very, very important, just understanding the user and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, when you sit down at night and you think about your life at 3 a.m. when that bug is disturbing you, you come to realize you need a product designer, you need a product manager. You need another dev, you need another, maybe a senior dev, like somebody else to work with to help you so that at least you can work faster. And I think that's what I also got to realize as I went on. Yeah.
Yeah, actually that's true. Yeah.
All right. So I think that's it from us, guys. We just like to say a big, big thank you. Thank you so much, Kalume. He's actually going to be a mentor at Mastercraft. So, if you'd like to join Mastercraft, I've actually pinned the link over there. And for our international community, I actually wanted to make sure that this reaches out to our international community. We are working day and night to make sure that your payment process is integrated into the website. Trust me, like I have been waking up thinking about Nigeria, Congo, and I'm like, this guys, because I've been getting a lot of pressure. So don't worry. I listen to users as you have spoken here. You think about the user, don't think about yourself. So we're really thinking about you and making sure that that is sorted out. Yes, also, if you'd like to join our WhatsApp channel to get job updates, get to advice, if you need mentorship, you have questions to ask. Maybe if you're doing an interview and someone else is also doing the same interview, our Spacia Tech WhatsApp channel, we usually connect people a lot. So that will be a very, very nice place. But if you really want to interact with Kalume during our Mastercraft program, or someone who needs this experience, somebody who is starting out in their career and they need to work in a team, because we will be working with on a project with product managers, product designers, data analysts, Android engineers. We're going to be having front-end engineers, back-end engineers. Like, we have the full house. So, and we also have expert mentors. All our mentors are seniors, founders. I think you've already seen that. Engineering managers. So, we've gone for the best of the best so that we make sure that you get the best mentorship. So if you know someone maybe who would benefit from the program, we'd really support that. Oh, there's one last question, which I think I will take, and then we will close off from Denzel, because Denzel is my friend. So as an early stage Android developer, building a startup product, how do I avoid over engineering while still planning for growth and learning to avoid unfinished apps?
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, so how to avoid over engineering? The first thing is to don't scroll on X, because don't read those advices on LinkedIn, because most of the time I have noticed a trend on social media. There are people who are tech influencers. They are not engineers, and They are just influencers. They are trying to push you to buy their books, to buy their courses. So you will see that, I don't know, but I have worked on several project, like several applications from startups that was on early stages. Most of them have messy code. This is because they want to ship as soon as possible. This is the first. When you are building an MVP, you don't care about code quality, because after that, after you've found your market fit, you can now improve your project. You can get time to do, technical depth, to improve your code, and then start adding features. And the main reason people have unfinished project is they want the application to be perfect before shipping it. So what actually you need, just build one feature that you think is important. So if you are building, let's say you are building a to-do list applications, even though I will advise you to do it. If you want to build a to-do list application, just build the main feature, the one you think is important, the reason why you are building this app. Maybe you just want to list the task you want to do, and after that, you need to mark it as done. So this is the core feature. So just build this, and after that, you can add something like notification, collaboration, and all these tools. But just ship it as soon as possible. Don't try to make it perfect. Perfection is the enemy of done. Done is better than perfect. So just ship it as soon as possible. But actually, I advise you to know this. It is not because that something is online that means it is true. So don't take all these advices in books all the time, or on LinkedIn. Most of the time, I feel like on LinkedIn, you should not avoid taking these advices. Just try to build something simple, and no one will download your application. No one will see that your code is a mess. They will just see a product, the product you have built. Yeah, just ship it as soon as possible. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kalume. We really do appreciate you here at Spacia Tech. You're an amazing person. And if you'd like to reach out to Kalume on all his social media platforms, you can go reach out to him on LinkedIn, as you can reach out to him on X as well. He's very active there. Kalume, we've tagged him on all our social media platforms. I think you guys already know that. I really do appreciate each and one of you. If nobody has told you today, you are amazing, and I'm just wishing you a good night. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thanks.